Hello and welcome. My name is Raj and I work in customer success here at Refined. Thank you for joining me. In this webinar, I'll take you through what's new in our latest release, Refined version 7.0 for Confluence Server and Data Center. So I'd request that you please switch off your mics and feel free to type any questions in the chat and we'll take a look at this at the end. The plan is that we'll have the first half of this as a demo and presentation, and then we'll take a look at the questions after that. So a bit about us. Refined, we make site building tools for both Confluence and Jira, both on cloud and server or data center. And basically what we do is we provide theming and structuring capabilities for your Confluence and Jira content. The focus today, of course, is on Refined for Confluence Server and Data Center. And what we do in this app is we provide theming and structuring capabilities. So basically the structuring part of it allows you to organize Confluence spaces into categories and then into sites. So you could run multiple themed and branded sites off of one Confluence instance. And within these have various categories and various spaces as you see fit. So it makes it really easy for the end users to find information that's relevant to them quicker. And it also makes it easy for the admins to structure their Confluence content in a way that it's more usable and more actionable. So as an example, this is what a native Confluence home looks like. And this is what a refined Confluence home could look like. And of course, during this webinar, I'll show you more on how this is built up and how this can be customizable to your particular needs. And on the same note, this is what a Confluence page looks like in native Confluence. And this is what it could look like in Refined. So without further ado, let's get into the instance itself. So of course, like always, the app is installed via the UPM, the plugin manager on your Confluence instance. I already have it installed here on my instance. So if I go to configure, this is where I end up on, and this is the first new feature in 7.0. So we have implemented a standalone admin UI. This is also done with the admin delegation functionality in mind. So that's another thing we've introduced in 7.0. Confluence admins can now delegate refined admin permissions and site admin permissions. I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a bit. But the admin UI in general has a sleek new look, which is cleaner and more modern looking and more aligned with our new brand as well. So to the permissions, delegating admin permissions is done in the permissions tab. And basically the Confluence admin out of the box has access to this, and they can then define refined administrators. So you can delegate this permission to either individual users or to a user group. And this is of course a Confluence user group. Refined administrators will be able to access everything that's in this admin UI. So they won't be able to access Confluence administration, but they will be able to access everything in the refined admin. And then for site level admin permissions, here in the permissions tab, you have an overview of the different sites you have and the admin permissions assigned to them and also the view permissions. But assigning these permissions is done on the site itself. So that's done in the site builder tab. I will collapse all the sites, and if I go to the knowledge base site, for example, hover over edit, here is where I can add admins. So pretty much in the same way, but on the site level. And of course we have the view permissions that we've had in previous versions as well. Admins on sites, they will be able to administer everything related to their particular site. So they can make changes here. They can change the theme, for example. They can change the logo and so on. And in the site builder, they will be able to modify the contents of their site itself. So they can add categories, they can move around spaces. They can also drag in spaces that aren't already on another site. Yeah, so moving on to the next, we've got the caching tab. That's been there in previous versions as well. Basically, you can improve performance on your Confluence instance by using front-end caching. So saving resources locally for users after the initial load. So it's improved load times on every load after this. Won't go into detail on that. Layouts has also been there in previous versions. So basically you can manage and define default and global templates for space layouts, homepage layouts, and user dashboards if you have those active. Navigation tab, also nothing new here. It's managing the parameters relating to the category menu, which is the menu at the top when you're on the site, which reflects what's in your site builder structure. We'll go into more detail in that pretty soon. You can also manage the global menu setting and the global footer. To the themes tab, here we have some new stuff in version 7.0. We have a new set of bundled themes, which shows up for fresh installs. So the 4 themes over here, the classic, clean, radiant, and vivid, are new in this version. For existing customers, if you want to get these themes, we have a link for this on our docs, and you can download them and then import them on your instance, and that's done via the import theme option at the bottom. So of course we have the options on each theme. You can edit, rename, export, and copy. So if you export a theme, you can easily import it to another Confluence instance. So we have the classic theme editor, of course. So if I go in there and click edit, this is familiar for those of you that have been our customers. It's the same old theme editor, and you can make your changes as you see fit. Go ahead and close that. And if I scroll down, some of you might use this. We have the advanced theme section. One of the things that we've changed in version 7.0 is we've removed the in-product IDE. So now you need to use an external IDE for developing advanced themes. We're also offering free consultation on how you can change your advanced theme into a theme editor theme. So that might be an option that some of you might be willing to explore. The push for using bundled themes from our side is basically due to ease of maintenance. It makes upgrades a lot safer and a lot smoother. Less stuff is likely to break. So if you're willing to take this option, you're welcome to get in touch with us, support.refine.com, and we'll take a look at your theme and what can be done with it. Cool. I'll go to the next tab. We have new in 7.0 an announcements feature on Confluence Server. So basically this can be done to communicate information to your users. We have this already on Refine for Jira Server and Refine for Cloud. So it's really fun that we've brought this popular feature to Confluence Server and Data Center as well. So this can be done by Confluence admins, Refined admins, and site admins can also add announcements. They can add announcements for their site and the content below it. So I'll go ahead and create an announcement to show you how that works. Let's call this welcome to webinar. So you can pick the location of where this shows up. You can have it on all sites. You can have it on the login page, or you can have it on a particular site and elements under that site. So on categories and subcategories and spaces. So it's quite flexible on where you want to have the announcement. I'm going to go ahead and put this on all sites. I will make it closable and publish it. And let's have it as an alert and save that. So that has been added. I had one already set up before this. So we'll see how those look when we go into the site itself. But yes, I will go to the next tab, the site builder. So this works in the same way that it has been from before. This is where you set up the structure and navigation of your sites. One new improvement here is you can now expand and collapse all the sites at once, which is super useful if you have a large instance with a large number of sites and a lot of content in each of them. So you don't have to keep scrolling through each site and all its content to get to where you need to go. You can just collapse and expand everything at the click of one button. But then within each site, of course, you can add categories as you could before. You can define custom URLs on those, view permissions, and so on. You can have subcategories under categories. So if I hover on an existing category, I can add a subcategory or a link under that. And then with spaces, it works the same way as before. You drag and drop them to where you need them to be. You can also drag and drop entire categories and their sub-content. So I can take this and put it on another site, for example, and so on. I will put that back because I want it there. Yeah, and of course, as before, uncategorized spaces are on the right-hand side, and then you just drag and drop these to where you need them to be. In site settings, you have, of course, the settings to change themes, to add logos. You can choose whether to exclude the site from the site switcher, whether you want to show the site switcher. And the site switcher is basically the left-hand drop-down menu that shows you all the other sites. So it might be that for a particular use case, you want that site to either not appear in the site switcher, or you want it to not have the site switcher, so users on that site can't navigate to other sites. We have options for those. Yeah, so let's go to the final tab, the configuration tab. This is also the same as it's been in previous versions. We haven't changed very much here. The one thing that we have changed in 7.0 is under the security section, you have the option to disable HTML modules. So this can either be done by the super admin to disallow code that could cause problems, or it can be used for troubleshooting purposes. So if there's some faulty HTML code that's been added on a layout on the site somewhere, and that's causing the layout to break and it can't be edited to remove it, the super admin or the refined admin can go in here and just disable HTML modules, and then these will be disabled and not rendered, so you can easily go in, edit the layout, and take it out. And this, of course, is applicable to all layouts, so site and category homes and the content layout macro. And for those of you that don't know what those are, I'll explain in just a bit. So let's jump into the site itself. I'll go into the site builder and click on view on the global site. And as you can see now, the announcements as we had configured before, they're now they're both visible. The one that I had configured as closable, I can click away, and the other one that's not configured as closable, that's always at the top until the admin goes in and decides to take it out. So I can either delete it or I can edit it and unpublish it. So if I save that and come in here and reload, now it's gone. Cool. So regarding the structure or the navigation menu rather, like I said before, this reflects what's been set up in your site builder. So if I open up projects, you can see that there's a couple of spaces here, a subcategory, and a couple of spaces under the subcategory, and that's exactly what I've set up in the site builder. So you can pretty much structure your site as you see fit according to your use case right here, and then that's always reflected in the category menu. But one of the things that stands out here that's new in version 7.0, the create button has been moved from the bottom right where it used to be before. This now sits in the top right of the layout itself. So if I hover on the plus sign, I can either create content, and of course I can select what space it should be and so on, or I can go ahead and create a new space. So the reasoning behind moving the position or the changing the position of the create button rather, we have had substantial feedback from our customers when we moved this to the bottom right, and based on that and our vision for the product, we decided to move it back here. So that is quite a change, but hopefully it's a change that is well received. Editing the site home works the same way as before. It's the three-dot menu, and I click on Edit Site Home. And then, of course, Confluence admins and Refined admins, they can edit all layouts. Site admins can edit layouts that are on the site that they administer. So they would be able to edit their site home and the category homes on that site and so on. Yes, so like some of you might be aware of, we've got sections in the layout editor, so you can add as many different sections as you see fit. Within the sections, you can add up to 6 columns, I think it is, yes. And then you can add modules for different purposes. Each section, of course, can have a title, like you can see here. And one of the things that's new in 7.0 is we have had view permissions before for logged in users, where you can then specify a user group. But now we've added in anonymous users view permission. So this is really interesting if you want to have, for example, something that's only shown to anonymous users. It could be maybe information on how to sign up for an account or how to log in or something like that. Then you can create a section, have the view permission as anonymous user, and within that section you can then add the relevant content that they need to see. I will not have it as anonymous for now. There we go. Another cool new feature that we've got in 7.0 is you can now copy modules. So if I've already set up this navigation highlight module, for example, and I need another one and I don't want to set it up from scratch, I just click there in the top right corner and it's automatically copied. And now it's done again. So now I have 3 of them. But that's a really cool feature for those that, for example, if you want to set up multiple navigation icons, they're all going to look pretty much similar. It's maybe just small differences. Then you can set up one, copy it multiple times, and make the small changes as needs be, instead of setting it up from scratch each time. Yeah, so we can go into the modules that we have. You might recognize most of these. We've got navigation modules, which are used to provide visual elements that guide users on where they need to go within the instance. We've got 2 new ones in this section. So we've got the navigation image, which is new in 7.0. And this is basically the same as a navigation icon, but without the text. So it's if you only want to have the visual aspect of it. And then we have navigation cards, which is a pretty cool module, I think. It allows you to add multiple visual navigation card elements to guide your users on where they need to go. I'll go ahead and add one of those to show you what it looks like. I'll change the text to white maybe and say, yeah, let's go for HR. Let's take that. Just add a dummy in there. Oops. And I can add one more. Sales sounds good. And let's take that image and put in an anchor. So if I save that and then publish the layout, that's what that module looks like. So it's a pretty nifty way to add in multiple navigation items to yeah, 2 different places on your instance or external links that are useful for your users to have. And yeah, I will go in and edit once more. I can take that away. Click on add module. And then of course we have the familiar content modules. So these provide some sort of functionality based on Confluence content. So we've got the activity stream, for example, that shows you what's recently been updated. The news module that's used to surface blog posts. Yeah, and a bunch of different Confluence focused modules. We also have the Confluence content, which pretty much emulates a default Confluence page, which you can add macros into. And then we have the wildcard HTML module, which you can use to add custom code. So if you want to embed custom widgets, for example, then you can use that. We also have the versioning on layouts. So I've got a lot of versions on this one because I've made multiple changes over quite a long time period. But you can pretty much go to previous versions of the same layout and restore that if needs be. And the other super cool thing in version 7.0, we now have, and this has been such a requested feature, we have a layout import-export functionality. So if I publish this, the reason why I publish it is because the layout that is exported is the current published version. So I can export this layout and download it. And then, for example, if I want to have this same really nice looking layout on another page, I don't have to set it up from scratch. I can just go in and import this somewhere else. So if I go in, for example, to the my work category home, I haven't made any changes on this one. I can just go in and edit this and then go to import export, choose to import the layout that I've just exported, and then publish, and there it is with all the content that it had from the home page. Some stuff might be different, like the pages, of course, it takes what's on that category, but the modules themselves are exactly as I set them up on the main home. So that's a pretty nifty feature that's useful for if you want to reuse the same layout which you might have set up and want to have like the standard look for. So this functionality also works when it comes to Confluence Space Home or Pages level. And I can show you what that looks like. So we have what we call the content layout macro. So now I'm on a Space Home and this is the page content. I'll just close this away. So if I go into edit, so in this product refined for Confluence Server, we do have some page level macros. The content layout macro, that one can be used to emulate basically the layout that you have on a site home or on a category home. I'll go ahead and, that's not the right command. Content layout macro, and then I go ahead and update the page. So then we have a blank content layout macro. So as you see, it has the same sort of sections and modules like the site and category homes. But I can import the same layout that I had exported earlier, and that is here. And then it's already populated in the macro, and if I go ahead and save that, then I have the same layout as the site home and category home on the content layout macro on the page as well. It's a really cool way to be able to reuse layouts that you've created on one part of your site, on the site home for example, without having to do them over again. So that's an overview of what's new in refined version 7.0 for Confluence Server and Data Center. To summarize, we've got the standalone, I will play that again, the standalone admin UI with refined admin and site admin delegation. This is really useful if you have a large organization and you want to spread the responsibilities a little bit. We've got the announcements feature, portable layouts like I just demoed, so you can export a finished layout and reuse it as many times as you wish. Copying modules on layouts. We've got a couple of new modules, and then of course we have the bundle themes and various UX improvements in the product as well. Cool. I hope that this has been useful for everyone. Let's take a look at the questions that you've sent in.